Okay, this is the video for long division. Feel free to pause to rewind if you missed anything. Okay, when you have a monomial, means you only have one term. You want to separate every single term on the numerator and divide it individually by whatever you have in the denominator. This is supposed to be a 16x to the 5th, so just FYI. So I have 16x to the 5th, y to the 6th divided by 4xy minus 8x to the 5th, y to the 4th, 4xy, and then minus 48 over 4xy. And we're doing coefficients first, so 16 divided by 4 gives me a 4. And I have x to the 5th divided by x. If they're dividing, you subtract them, so you have x to the 4th. And you have y to the 6th divided by y to the 5th, so you have over 1. Or if you want, you can not have a denominator. Minus 8 divided by 4 is 2. X to the 5th divided by x is x to the 4th. You subtract your exponents. Y to the 4th divided by y is y cubed. And you can put it over 1 or you cannot. You have minus 48 divided by 4 gives me 12. And there's nothing for me to subtract, so I have the x and the y to stay on the denominator. Okay, so now the second example, I'm going to cover this up. And I have 7ab divided by 7a squared b cubed plus 21a cubed b to the 5th and 7a squared b cubed minus a to the 4th, which is 7a squared b cubed. So all you're doing is dividing numbers, subtracting exponents. So I have 7 divided by 7 is 1. So I have a 1 so far. And a over a squared, there's a 1 remaining, but it stays at the denominator. B over b cubed gives me b squared. Sorry, b squared. Plus 21 divided by 7 is 3 on the numerator. Have a cubed over a squared gives me a, and that's on the numerator. And I have b to the 5th divided by b cubed, that's b squared, and that's on the numerator. And minus, now the 7 stays where it's at, it does not divide with any other number. And I have a to the 4th divided by a squared, gives me a squared on the numerator. And the b cubed has nothing to divide with, so it stays in the denominator. And this one would be your answer. Okay, so now a binomial being something with two terms, so x plus a or ax plus b, two terms. You're going to want to use long division. Long division is the same way, you don't have to copy this, it's the same way that we used to divide. We used to have the house, and for example, you have 391 divided by 2. So 2, there's 1 2's into the 3, so you have 2, subtract 1, bring down the 9. How many 2's into 19? So that is 9, gives me 18, subtract it, gives me 1, bring down the last one, gives me 11. How many 2's fit into 11? So that's 5, gives me 10, subtract that, gives me 1. So you have a remainder of 1. We're going to use the same concept. So when you see two polynomials being divided, you have x minus 5. It's what's going to go outside of the house, and then you have the numerator, what's going to go inside of the house. So I'm going to rewrite this, and I have x minus 5 Inside my house, I have x squared plus 3x minus 40. And I'm only going to do the first terms. So how many x's do I need to have an x squared? So I need 1. Now, since I only need 1, and it's just going to be the x, I'm going to put it where the x's are. So I'm going to put it in blue. I have an x right here. So you multiply. What's x? X times this x gives you x squared. You have the x times negative 5 gives you negative 5x, and we subtract. Do not forget those parentheses. So x squared minus x squared cancels. 3x, negative and negatives are positive, so that gives me 8x. Bring down the minus 40. And again, I need how many, well, what do I need to multiply to the x to have an 8x? I need an 8. And it's a positive, so I'm going to have a positive 8. So then you have the multiplication. 8 times x gives you what's here. 8 times negative 5 gives you what goes here. So I'm going to do the multiplication. 8 times x is 8x. 8 times negative 5 is negative 40. Don't forget the parentheses. Subtract it. 8 minus 8x. Cancel. Negative 40 minus negative 40. They also cancel. Gives me a remainder of 0. So the answer would be x plus 8. So when you divide x squared plus 3x minus 40 by x minus 5, your answer should be x plus 8. Now you can see it on this way. It still means the same thing. I have, this is the denominator, this is the numerator. So I'm going to write it as x minus 2 outside of my house, x cubed minus 4x squared plus 6x minus 4. So now I am ready to divide. So I have x. How many x's do I need? So it can become an x cubed, x squared. So, and it goes above the x squares. So x squared times x goes here. X squared times negative 2 goes here. So I have x squared times x is x cubed. And you have x squared minus times negative 2 is negative 2x squared. Again, parentheses and a minus. You always want that first term to cancel. These two will cancel. X cubed minus x cubed is 0. So I have negative 4x squared minus and a minus. That gives me a positive. So negative 4 plus 2 gives me negative 2x squared. Okay, so now you're still dividing by a binomial. That means you need to have two terms. So bring down your 6x plus 6x, and I need to have that x become a negative 2x, so I need to multiply negative 2x. So I have negative 2x, and if you see, all the x's should be aligning. All the x squares should be aligning, all the x cubes, and so on. So I'm going to multiply the negative 2x to my binomial so I can have something to subtract. So I have negative 2x squared, negative 2x times x is negative 2x squared. Negative 2x times negative 2 gives me positive 4x. And don't forget parentheses, minus. So now I'm going to start distributing this negative. Negative is a positive. And then a negative and a positive gives me a negative. So I'm going to forget about this. So it'll be easier to subtract. So negative 2x squared plus 2x squared cancel. And I have 6x minus 4x gives me 2x. Again, it's a binomial. Bring down the negative 4. And I need to multiply a 2 to make this x a 2x. So I'm going to put a plus 2. So I have 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Again, parentheses minus, distributing that negative. So negative 2 and a positive, so 2x minus 2x gives me 0. And I have negative 4 plus 4 also gives me 0. So when I have x cubed minus 4x squared plus 6x minus 4 divided by x minus 2, my answer would be x squared minus 2x plus 2. Okay, feel free to pause at any time. I'm going to go a little bit faster. So I have 2x plus 1 outside of my house, and I have 8x cubed minus 12x squared plus 4x plus 10. And I have, in order to make my 2x and 8x cubed, I need to multiply 4x squared, and that's going to go right above this one. So I have 4x squared, so I'm going to multiply my 4x squared to the 2x plus 1. That gives me 8x cubed. 4x squared times 1 is plus 4x squared, parentheses minus. So I'm going to distribute that minus, so it's a plus, minus, minus. 8 minus 8 cancels. Negative 12x squared minus 4x squared gives me negative 16x squared. Bring down my plus 4x, and I need to make 2x be a negative 16x squared, so I need to have a negative 8x, so minus 8x, so all the x's should be aligning. So negative 8x times 2x is negative 16x squared, so again, the first term should always cancel. Negative 8x times positive 1 is negative 8x, parentheses with a minus. I'm going to distribute that negative, so this is a plus, plus, and a plus. So negative 16x squared plus 16x squared cancels, and I have 4x plus 8x gives me 12x, and I bring that down, so I need to have plus 10. So now I need to make my 2x a 12x. So I just need to multiply the number, which is 6, and it's a positive. So I'm going to put a positive 6. So 6 times 2 gives me 12x. They should always be the same. And 6 times 1 should be plus 6. Put that in parentheses, subtract it. So I have 12x minus 12x, and I'm going to distribute that negative. So I have 12x minus 12x cancels, and now I have 10 minus 6. That is not 0, but we can have remainders. That would be a 4. The way that you have the answer is 4x squared minus 8x plus 6 plus 4 over 2x plus 1. So this is our answer. Now, another thing that you have to look out for is your numerator and your denominator. They always should be in standard form, meaning they have to be in descending order. So you have cube, squares, and you should have the x's, so it's somewhere in there that you can't see, and then the 1. So you have to put in a 0 for those x's. If not, you're not going to be able to divide. So I'm going to write it out. I have x plus 2 outside the house, and x cubed minus 6x squared, and I need to put that 0. So plus 0x plus 1. Okay, it has to be in standard form. So I'm going to divide. I have x To become an x cubed, I need an x squared. So x squared times x gives me x cubed. X squared times 2 gives me plus 2x squared. Parentheses minus. So I have negative, distribute that, minus, oh, sorry. So I have x cubed minus x cubed, cancel. Negative 6x squared minus 2x squared gives me negative 8x squared. Bring down that 0. And I have x, but I need to have a negative 8x squared. So then I need to multiply my x by negative 8. And that's going to go right here. So it should always line up. So I have, let me change this. Negative 8x, so I'm going to be multiplying my negative 8x to my x plus 2, so I have negative 8x squared. Negative 8x times 2 is negative 16x, parentheses minus. So again, I'm going to distribute that negative, so negative and a negative is a positive, negative and a negative is another positive. So I have negative 8x squared plus positive 8x squared, they cancel, and I have 0 plus 16x, so I have 16x, bring down your 1, so I have 16x plus 1, now I need to make my x a 16x, so I need to multiply it by 16, put it right here, so I have plus 16. So 16 times x is 16x. 16 times 2 gives me plus 32. Parentheses minus 16. And I'm going to distribute that negative first. So I have 16 minus 16 is 0. But I have 1 minus 32 gives me negative 31. So this one also has a remainder. So the answer will look like everything that I divided on top of my house, x squared minus 8x plus 16 minus 31, and that 31 was being divided by x plus 2, so it's always going to be the remainder over whatever I was dividing by. Okay, so you can do long division with binomials, but you can also do it with trinomials. So just be sure it's on standard form. So you have to the 4 to the 3rd. I'm missing my second power, x and 8, so put it at 0 whenever we put it into the house. And then you have the denominator that goes outside the house. So I'm going to write this. You have x squared plus 2x plus 4. My house, I have x to the 4th minus x cubed plus, there's no squares, so I'm going to put a 0. 0x squared minus 8x plus 8. So now when I'm dividing, I need to make sure that I'm doing the 3 terms. So what do I need from the x squared to become an x to the 4th is an x squared. So I need 2 multiplied by an x squared, and I always put them on top of whatever is the term that I'm doing. So I have x squared times x squared gives me x to the 4th. X squared times 2x gives me positive 2x cubed. X squared times 4 gives positive, I moved it, positive 4x squared, parentheses minus, distribute that negative, so negative times that positive is a negative. Negative times a positive is a negative. Negative times a positive is a negative. So x to the 4th minus x to the 4th cancel. That one, the first one always cancels. Negative x cubed minus 2x cubed is negative 3x squared. Sorry, cubed. And 0x squared minus 4x squared is negative 4x squared. I'm dividing by a trinomial, so I need to have 3 terms. So I need to bring down the negative 8x, so bring that down, negative 8x, so I have an x squared and I have a negative x cubed, negative 3x cubed, so I need to multiply it by a negative 3x. Negative 3x. Multiply all that to the trinomial. That gives me negative 3x cubed. And then I have negative 3x times 2x gives me negative 6x squared. I have negative 3x times positive 4 is negative 12x parentheses and then minus. So I'm going to distribute that negative. Negative and negative is a positive. Negative and negative is a positive. Negative and negative is a positive. So I have negative 3x cubed cancels. And negative 4x squared plus 6x squared gives me 2x squared. I have negative 8x plus 12x gives me positive 4x. And again, bring down that positive 8. So I need x squared to become a 2x squared. So I need to multiply it by a 2. Positive 2. So 2 times the trinomial that I'm dividing by will give me 2x squared plus 4x plus 8 parentheses minus. Distribute negative, negative, negative. So 2x squared minus 2x squared cancels. 4x minus 4x cancels. And then 8 minus 8 cancels. Remainder of 0. So the answer would just be what's on top of my house. So the x squared minus 3x plus 2.